Welcome back to the Witch's Way podcast. I'm Kat.
And I'm Jamie, and tonight we are talking about trusting the path. Trusting your path. So really what I had in mind when I was doing this is that you don't have to have it all figured out. Like, I think most of the time we don't have it figured out, and we're always like, why don't I have my shit together? Why don't I have this figured out? This is where we talk about trusting the path and just letting things unfold and evolve naturally and not forcing. This is trusting the path. But also this is, I want to give everybody the okay that you don't have to have it all figured out. We are now speaking from age, right? We're both in crone eras. I don't know if you guys saw, but I finally have my first gray hair, and I'm very excited about that. So I'm officially crone.
I'm turning 67 in another week.
There you go. So 45, 67. Well, I'm almost 45.
You're not 45 for another 3 months.
I'm almost 45. I might as well just say it. I'm 157 years old. So, speaking from the path that we have been on for this long, it's that you really don't have to have it all figured out. And I just think that we don't hear that often enough. I think most people are like, when you meet them or things are going on, people expect everybody to have shit figured out when they talk to you. And it's like, no, because that's the journey, right? Is to let things unfold and to constantly make decisions and choices and choose, set things down, pick things back up. And we just don't hear that enough. So this episode is truly about letting you know that you don't have to have it all figured out and just trusting your path.
I think another way to say it is not having it figured out is normal. Let's normalize not having everything figured out and knowing where everything's going to go every second of our life, every month, every day of the year. And then if we don't have that, then somehow feeling that we are failing in some kind of way.
Less than. We're not. Don't have our shit together. Less than. We do also have a tendency to compare ourselves to our cohorts or even just random people or parents or siblings or whoever.
We compare ourselves we compare ourselves to other people. We look at their lives and say, gosh, why I graduated high school the same year she did, or college, or, my kids are grown too. How come I don't know? How come I don't have all the answers?
All the things that I had to write this quote recently, and I'm pretty sure it's a well-known one, but comparison is the thief of joy.
I thought worry was the thief of joy.
I think that so many things are the thief of joy, but I guess
so many things are the thief of joy.
So many things are the thief of joy.
You know what's the thief of joy? My mind that never shuts up.
Yeah, we need
won't
ADHD
let me go to
medication.
sleep.
That's just ADHD will fucking make you restless. But yes, so many things can be the thief of your joy, and comparison was a huge one because I was thinking through a thought about this. And I knew I had heard something like that before, and I was like, did Maya Angelou say that? Who fucking said that? Benjamin Franklin? I've read all the quotes, the military, everywhere you go, everybody has inspirational bullshit posted everywhere so that you don't hate your life half the time. And so I knew I had heard this before, but it wasn't actually from that. It was from my psychology course.
This is actually true in a corporate environment, especially in a big company.
Yeah, big companies,
where they'll have those posters hang in there, kid, or you got this, and you're looking at it going no, I don't. Not today, I don't anyway.
There was a store back when I was 18 and I was in Great Lakes, and we would I think there was something called a Great Mall up there or something like that. Because wasn't there a Great Mall in Kansas City?
No, the Great Mall was up in Minnesota, I think. We went there.
Okay. Well, then it was something like that. I don't know what it was actually called, but it was a very big fucking mall. And it had this store called, Successions or something like that. And all of the posters were these very catchy fucking hang in there kid posters. The one that I remember staring at the most, because one of my leaders ended up getting it in their office, and it was all of these matches, and it said, I'm gonna fuck this up now. Attitude is like a flame is yours worth catching or something. And it was these matches being lit in synchronous. It was this line of matches, and you saw the fire moving from one to the next. And it was saying that attitude is like a flame is yours worth catching. Basically, be positive, have a good attitude because it affects everybody around you, which is so true in a group environment, in a workplace, everything. So when we think about our spiritual path and we go out into the world and we're seeking something from the internet, from other people that we might see as leaders, even, people who might be listening to us, I am not lost on the fact that we could be considered people that someone comes to for inspiration and to look up to. And like, I take that very seriously. And that is why I try so hard to be extremely humble and very honest about, I don't always have my shit together. And there are only certain things that I know, and I allow those things to change over time. I don't ever have a belief that is not changeable, because I just believe that the journey is supposed to be mutable in so many ways. Maybe it's because I'm a mutable water sign. I don't know. But I just don't think that we should hold these like hard and fast rules, because when we do, we miss out on opportunities. And so I've always just been like easy, go with the flow kind of thing, like see what happens. And that's part of the topic
for me
tonight.
As a fixed sign,
fixed
sign, it's a little bit different where, if I don't, I get kind of stuck in a place, really.
Yeah.
I get stuck in a place.
It's hard to change sometimes.
Yeah.
We can take those things into consideration when we're looking at our path and we are trying to discover things about ourselves. You guys know this podcast is really directed towards helping people uncover things about themselves that will help them change their life in a positive way. And so if this conversation sort of hits where maybe you're mutable and you go with the flow, and sometimes that means that you are a doormat. I've been there, done that. Or you're a fixed sign and it's hard to change and you just let things go on and on and on. And you're like, I've been dying to change this, but maybe don't know how, or you get stuck in a thing.
How many relationships have I stayed in long past their expiration date?
Yeah.
When I should have left because I don't want to give up.
And I'm so quick to drop people. When I would be transitioning in the military, I'd be like, okay, bye, see you later. Like, I wouldn't ask for emails. I'm never staying in touch. I have no friends from way back when. I wish that
I could be more like that. I cling to shit.
I feel
I'm
so
like,
bad.
No, don't go. Stay. I don't like change.
Keep everything the same. I'm comfortable here.
I'll fix it. As fucked up as it is, I'll just live with it. Oh, fuck.
That's so funny. So we really just wanted to talk about how, comparison really does steal, steals our joy. It steals our choices too. I think that when you compare yourself to other people, then you gravitate towards a line that other people have already walked down. And that's not necessarily your path, like making your own path is really hard. I will say that as somebody who has forged her own path and done a lot of things that other people didn't do during my time and kind of stood out and made myself a spectacle and possibly a target at certain times. The road is not easy, but when I look back, I regret nothing about doing the things that I felt like were right for myself, even when it brought me great heartache, because the heartache only lasted so long, but me staying true to myself is forever, like in whatever I thought during that time. And then the mistakes that I've made, you guys, even with that, I look back and I'm going, I did the right thing at that time and I understand why I did it, and I just moved past. It's not like I'm fucking regretful or be like, oh my God, you were so stupid. I don't even say that about myself. It's like, you did what you could during that time, and now we move the fuck on. Like, that's what we do.
And I think that's really important to have that perspective where there are times in your life where you do just have to kind of go along to get along.
You do, yeah, absolutely.
And because rocking the boat or making really drastic changes in your life in some kind of way, the timing is off.
Yeah.
It's dangerous. It's not feasible. It's not like you can't quit your job and move to another state because you've got a kid with medical issues that you've got to stay there because that's where their doctor is, and you've got health insurance and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so for a while you stay in a place. I mean, I think about my 6.5-year relationship with my second husband, their only stepdad, my kid's only stepdad. That was a horrible. I wanted out of that I was in it less than a year and I already knew. I knew that I'd made a mistake, in moving to Kansas with him. And I really considered that first summer hitchhiking back to California with my kids, because I had hitchhiked across country when I was 16 by myself. And the only thing
a brave fucking woman.
The only thing that stopped me, what stopped me? If I'd only had 2 kids, I would have done it, because 2 hands, 2 kids, right? But I had 2 kids and then a toddler. Jolene was only 2 at that time. And you know what? There was just, I could envision all the things happening. Like, how are you going to keep hold of them? Anything could happen. So I didn't do it. And I had to stick through that relationship until the time was right for me to go.
Yeah.
And as a result, there was a lot of pain and suffering, you know, but also a lot of lessons, and maybe some things that, even though it was super fucked up, I think everybody had to grow from it, because when you are in bad situations, there is growth that happens, even if you don't realize it until after the fact. But anyway,
it's one of the weird things about being a soul in an earthly body is that we didn't come here to be like all cozy and comfortable and like perfect little life. No, that's dangled over us so that we can do better or imagine better for ourselves. But truly, we came here to struggle, to experience the hard shit so that our soul grows in lessons. And it is so not comforting to hear that when you're in a shit position. It's just not. When somebody tells you that, you just want to like slap them in the face and be like, thanks. That was really helpful. Like,
fuck off. That really helps me a lot. Like, I'm dying over here, and you're telling me, telling me, hang in there, kid.
So you know, it's the fucking posters again.
You know the one that I remember because the cat.
We had it on the back of our door,
hanging.
When we lived on 37th Place by State Line.
We did. Oh my god!
We had the cat.
That picture's like from the 70s. That poster's like from that picture is from the 70s.
Wow!
I remember it as a teenager.
It's a cat like hanging off of a tree line.
Yeah, he's hanging. That? He's hanging. I think he's a tree. Is a kitten.
Yeah, he's
hanging. And the slogan is "Hang in there, kid."
Yeah.
Or hang in there. Maybe it's not kid. Maybe it's just hang in there.
Maybe they changed the words, but it's the same picture every time. We literally had that on the back of our kitchen door, where when we left the house, that was the poster that we saw. So my mom was brainwashing us. There we go.
I was warning you. That was your warning of what was coming. It was like, you're going to be doing a lot of hanging from a tree, holding on by your nails, you know, thinking I'm going to fall at any second, but you don't.
No.
You get through it. So
I want to tell you guys about one of the inspirations that I really had for this podcast, and it's that, you know, I am trying to be more active on social media. I really am trying to build this like online world where people can come and get to know us and see us and experience this, to become trusted as a teacher, of course. Like I just want people to have the availability to better themselves. Like, they don't have to choose us, but choose somebody to help better yourself. Like, that's all I think about. So in creating this world on Instagram, which I have really disliked social media, I'm trying to not say that anymore since I'm trying to be fucking successful on it, or at least do well. I have to be on Instagram a lot, and I see a lot of the picture perfect stuff, and I just can't imagine if I'd started my journey and all of that was out there, how incredibly insignificant, insufficient, underwhelming my own practice would have seemed. Because number one, I lived on a ship. I couldn't have anything. Like, I could have very small, minor things. I wrote a lot of stuff on paper and folded it in places. Those were my spells. Those were my rituals. Like, I couldn't have crystals and designs, and there was a ton of shit that was not allowed. So if I had been exposed to that early on, it would have just really made me almost, that comparison. This is why we're talking about comparison is the thief of joy. It just seems like people have their shit together, and I'm like, and when you don't, and you see everybody else, you feel so on the outskirts. You feel like such an outlier. It makes you feel worse about your situation that you already know is not great. And I'm sort of addressing that in this. We are addressing that in this podcast because, you know, to be real, like, half of us are just like winging it. We're just winging it. It may look good sometimes, but we're just winging it. Everybody, this is our first life as us in this time. It's our only life as us in this time. And we're all just doing the best that we can. And so I think that people don't say that enough, to where giving grace for all the situations, you know, as people are making mistakes, or they're misinformed, or they're doing drastic things, like, give them time and space, you know. We don't need to judge ourselves and be so harsh when we are not looking and doing as good as everybody else that we think, right? Because everything's on the internet.
Well, and I am reminded, and when you say that you see all these people that look so successful, or they're super successful podcasters or bloggers or whatever. I'm reminded of the people, of certain big celebrities, big voices in different spaces, like the mom space, that had their huge fall from grace. One of them that comes to mind is one of the families that was like, had the kids, and I don't know which one. Is this the one
they did the documentary on, where she was like abusive or something?
Yes.
I didn't watch it.
And so she had like 8 kids or something, and it was, they were doing like all of this, always with the mom tips and raising your kids, and it turns out, actually what was going on behind the scenes was really horrible for the children. And I think she's in jail. I think is it Ruby? You guys may remember this, but I guess the point of saying this is when you think that everybody's got their shit together, just remember when their lives get actually exposed for the ones who are really putting it out there, and then something happens and the real deal's exposed, and then you're like, oh shit. And I looked up to them and I took advice from them, not me, but a lot of people did. This one particular, the mom that had all the 8 kids, and she had a huge following of people who listened to her advice, and really, so she really didn't have her shit together. So I guess that was my point. Like, if you think that you're not doing well, or you're comparing yourself to people, God, they really looks good. It really looks like, man, I wish I had that life. Yeah. Maybe no, you don't, because you really don't know what's going on. Because all we're seeing is the curated version of that life. We're not seeing what happens when those cameras are off. And believe me, they're only putting the good shit out on the internet. They're not putting they're not putting the struggles. They're not putting whatever fucked up shit's going on in their lives with their families on the internet. And maybe that's why we're different, because we are putting our fucked up shit.
That's like my favorite part to put out.
We're like sharing our traumas and our dramas and our insecurities and
what we know are mistakes, but we've learned from them. So like, it is a mistake, but you learned so much. So truly, it's a lesson, opportunity for growth. Like, you have to reframe it.
Well, I think part of it is that there has to be a point where you give yourself grace. You not only give other people grace, but you also give yourself grace, that you are a human. You're a human, and you're having a human experience. That you're a spirit here having a human experience. And you're not going to be here that long. I was thinking about this on the walk. It's really not very long. I know. I was thinking about this. I was walking Tank the other morning, and the sun was coming up in the east, and I was just noticing how the sun has shifted, right? As the sun rises, it was like straight down so there's a street that I walk on, and earlier this year, the sun was right down that street, like straight ahead of me, and now it's like over here. Yeah. To the south, I guess. And as I was going, like, thinking to myself, gosh, it's changing, things are always changing. I'm getting older, and I was just thinking about my own limited time that I have left here. As I mentioned, I'm going to be 67 pretty soon, so I'm pushing 70. I've got a limited time here, and you know what? I'll be sad for my kids, but I'm not going to be sad when I go. Because I will have learned, I will have had all these experiences. I'm like ready to get on the other side and be like, okay, what's next? Be in that spirit world and be on the other side where I can come back and like look at my kids and see what's going on with them. But I also have my own experience as a spirit with all the other spirits on the other side. So, for me, I'm not looking forward to it, but I'm not afraid of it. And so
I'll right out say it. I'm fucking excited. I don't like whenever I go.
You're not ready to go though.
Well, no, I have things that I want to accomplish here. I just still think that I can make a difference in a lot of people's lives, which is my purpose. But it's like you said, the only thing that I would be sad for is the people that I leave behind, honestly. And that are going to be sad about my passing, but I'll be like, dude, I'm fucking celebrating. Please just like start partying and like do a whole New Orleans funeral for me. Party. Like that's going to be me. And I can't wait to haunt everybody and give so many signs and turn lights off and just do shit. Like whatever I can do as a spirit, I will be doing to all the people I know. I can't wait for that. And my husband, who's older than I am, I know that he'll pass before me. So I know that when I pass, that connection will come back around. And I have so many questions about how everything worked out with us. So, what me and him both say is like, we just want to get to the other side so we get fucking answers. Like, that's our Virgo side. That's our we want to know. So I have no qualms about that. I'm impartial. I'm indifferent to being here versus being on the other side. I'm still existing. I just want to do the best that I can while I'm here now. This got way off of...
It did, because what we're really talking about is like the feeling, really the topic of this is like you're feeling lost, feeling like you don't have your shit together, and we're going to
make you feel okay about that.
We're going to try to help you reframe that in a way that is more palatable.
Yeah.
So when you think about a time in your life, whether it's now or in the future or it's been last week or whatever, you're just like, fuck, that's it, right? Just like hands up, like I don't know, I don't have any answers. Instead of saying something like I'm lost or things are fucked up, think of yourself more as you're in between. You're in between this. You're at the in-between instead of the lost. So the in-between can be thought of as a sacred compost stage. Compost?
Because gardening.
Okay.
Because growth happens in compost. I'm thinking of like mushrooms and bugs and like all the shit we don't really want to deal with in gardening. Like nobody wants to know that cow manure helps their vegetables taste better and that bugs need to turn the soil. And so like when I'm sorry, I have a lot of gardening analogies because I see it so much in my life. That's what I do when I'm not doing this. But the compost of life, like it's the shit. Okay, I mean, so I didn't say that, but that's what I mean. Sorry. That was metaphorical.
So anyway, compost stage where endings dissolve and beginnings germinate. I like that. Yeah. I like that. I like that.
When you think about how things grow in the ground, that is what happens.
Yeah.
Right? Like you have to soil. What's really interesting about gardening is that plants don't need soil to grow. They need the nutrients that are in the soil to grow. What they need is water and light. That's all they need to grow because they photosynthesize the energy. I know I'm going way in depth. I'm sorry. And then the water allows them to actually expand. But what the soil provides, which is, if you think about this in terms of our life, your soil is all the shitty things that you've been through and the lessons and the hard places you've been. And your spiritual path is the sun bringing in the stuff that's like, you can still do it. You can make it. I'm going to keep giving you opportunities to grow because you photosynthesize that sun's light. It's like you keep looking for that hope and that joy and the things that you know are possible, and yet your feet are still in shit, like they're in the compost, right? And you got worms maybe crawling around your feet, and you got little people trying to take advantage, and it's like bullshit, and you gotta live the 9 to 5 and you don't like it. The in-between of that is the water that you absolutely need for your growth, and that's allowing you to reflect, to cry, to have emotions, to really feel your spirit being in this body and to have that human experience. There's that in-between of I'm fucking doing it, and then I'm laying in bed and I'm like just catastrophizing my whole life. Like there's always in-betweens and everything. So with the gardening reference, that's what it's about.
There's also an ancient myth tie-in to this topic, which is Persephone's journey.
I love Persephone.
Her descent into the underworld as divine. Her descent into the underworld as divine pause, not punishment. So she did go down, and she went. So she was taken down.
She was taken by Hades.
She was taken by Hades to the underworld. So she was basically kidnapped.
She was kidnapped. There's a lot of like female rage around this too, because also people say like rape, and that's not what the story is truly about. Even though we can modernize it and try to say that she was like kidnapped and raped and blah blah blah. What the story is actually talking about is that she was brought down into the soil. So this is still a gardening term. Remember, this was an agricultural culture. They were trying to look for things on like why the goddess would recede into the dirt. So Persephone was captured by Hades and brought to the underworld. I don't know where you're at. I'm actually lost. So.
I'm number 1 on the second bullet point.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't write that out. That's crazy. Do you want me to tell you the story a little bit more? Yeah. So with Persephone being captured by Hades, like he fell in love with her beauty. So Persephone is the daughter of Demeter, and she is like the goddess of all the harvest, of all the land, of all the fucking feed the people things, right? She's home, hearth, everything. She's everything to do with like humans feeling good. Well, Persephone became the goddess of spring. Specifically. So she was like the rebirth. So Demeter, who rules over all of the cycles, gave birth to the goddess of spring. That was Persephone. Well, when Hades fell in love with her, like everything, she's, Hades is basically like the fiery god of the underworld. Think about hell, Hades, whatever. He had to live in that place. Like that was his birthright to live there. And we're going to say maybe he didn't like it. He ventured out and he was like, look at this beautiful goddess, like glowing green, everything, like beauty, new beginning. And he's destructor, right? So he fell in love with the thing that he's the opposite of. And he tricked her or abducted her. It depends on what story you read. But he got her to the underworld, and she did... Depending on the story you read, she technically went willingly. She was curious. Hades was very charming. He's like, come and see something else. And,
it's always those bad boys.
The fucking bad boy thing. And Persephone went down there, and how he tricked her, because this is where he becomes the bad guy. She ate a pomegranate in the underworld. And when you eat a pomegranate seed in the underworld, you have to stay in the underworld.
Oh.
So she became queen. So goddess of the spring, queen of the underworld.
Okay.
So those are her two titles. And what happened was Demeter was really pissed. Her daughter was missing. She didn't know. Nobody told her what happened. Her daughter's just like gone. So she went to all the gods and was like, where the fuck is my daughter? Everybody help me find her. And everybody was like, we didn't see nothing. We saw nothing. But Zeus knew. He knew who took her. And he was like, I'm not telling. I don't know anything. Blah, blah, blah. Finally, he's like, okay, well, so Demeter was like, this
all
is where...
the guys covering for each other.
Well, they were like, we're not going to get involved. Like, this is, I don't know, your family drama. But what Demeter did, because she ruled the harvest and the crops and the growing of everything, she was like, fine, death to everything. And she literally, like, this is fall. This is dead winter. Everything fucking died out. The humans started dying. Well, if there's no humans to worship the gods... there are no gods anymore. They need belief to keep them living. So all of a sudden, when all the humans started dying off because there was like famine across the world, Zeus was like, fuck, I better step in before all the humans die. Like, Demeter's killing everybody. What are we going to do, guys? So he's like, your daughter might be in Hades. I don't know. That might have happened. So he like secretly told her. So of course she like goes down, confronts everything, and they decide... It was a decision, like a fucking custody agreement, that Persephone could live half the year up top and half the year down below. So that's why she's goddess of spring and of the underworld. She's queen of the underworld.
I just love that story. I know she's your favorite.
She's my favorite because she rules the changing of the seasons because of her story, right? So I guess before that we didn't have changing seasons. Like, I don't know. That's just how they explain the seasons, is with the story of Persephone. She's the goddess of spring and brings everything in, and then she descends into the underworld to be with Hades, her husband, for half the year, and that's our fall and winter, and she comes back in spring.
I think she had it figured out, though. A husband for half the year. That sounds pretty good.
I'm okay with that. Yeah. I could see how that works. Mine's like, I'm a football widow on like Monday and Thursdays, and sometimes Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Like, so I have that sort of thing while
there's a football widow season at any rate.
I learned that once I got married, that there's like football widows where you don't have anything to do with your husband because he's out watching football games. I'm like, I'm more time with my mom and sister.
So, the next thing that we're going to talk about, Jamie, is how society glamorizes constant motion. Mm-hmm. But the magic happens when we're able to be still. So this may explain why I have, I feel such peace living alone. And just like I have become more of a homebody than I ever was before. And I think it's because I like the peace and the solitude. And also the stillness of it, because I get to sit with myself, and my mind's never not going. It's always thinking of something, but I'm also doing things that hopefully help me grow. Like, I've gotten really into an app for crossword puzzles, so I feel like that brain games, I do that. Yep. I listen to audiobooks. I go out in my yard. I'm just so thankful that it's cooling off finally, and I will actually be able to work in my yard and not like sweat my ass off and have gnats flying in my face and bugs all over me and shit, because that's really annoying. But the society almost sets us up. I feel like society sets us up to believe that if we're not constantly in motion and doing, we're failing. Yeah. And that's just not true. We need the time. We need downtime. We need quiet time. That's why we Netflix and chill. It's why some Saturdays we lay in bed all day long and don't do anything.
Netflix and chill is code word for having sex. Sorry.
Sometimes I Netflix and chill and I'm not having sex?
No, but that's what Netflix and chill mean.
Okay.
Okay,
then
sorry.
just lounge around in bed and never get out of your pajamas on Saturday. How about that?
It's like literal Netflix and chill, not young people talk Netflix and chill, like come over, have sex, and like move on. Yes.
No, it's literally like just like veg out. Just a total veg out where you're completely. And this is what I feel like when I have those days where I'm like, I don't want to do anything. I had plans today. I was going to do this, and I wake up and I'm like, it's not happening. Nope. It's not happening. I need to stay here. And for whatever reason, my body, my mind, my soul is like, nope, you need a day of rest. So you need a down day. You need just day to do nothing. And society, like, I almost feel guilty when I do that.
Not almost. You do feel guilty. I've definitely called you and you're like, don't judge me. I've not done anything all day. I've been in bed. And I'm like, I would never judge you. I hope that felt amazing. But I can remember when you first like told me about it, you did feel guilty. You're like, fuck, I should be.
Well, you know what I feel is lazy. I feel lazy. Yeah. And then I have to reframe that to, I'm not lazy. What I'm doing is I'm recharging.
Yeah. Recharging, absolutely.
I'm absolutely recharging my soul, my mind, my body. Mm-hmm. And if I need that every Saturday for the whole whatever, I'm going to do it. I finally accepted that, it's not laziness. It's a need that my body has that is communicating to me. Today's not the day to get up and get shit done. Today's a day for you to kick back and relax and have a day and take a break. And you know what? Everything's going to be there when this day is over. All the things that you think you're supposed to be doing right now, you can do them tomorrow.
I know I've said this before in other podcasts online all the time. And I'll say the one thing about being deployed to a war zone is I had to come up with a phrase for when we were not being attacked. Because you always felt like you were on high alert. Your system is like, you're living in constant anxiety. You have to learn to, because I did that for a year. I came back home for a year and a half and was just a mom. And like, how do you go from that war zone, like bombs and gunshots, and you see the list of people being killed throughout the night, and then like you wake up the next day and you're like, that all just happened. You're in a constant state of, I can feel it in my body now talking about it. The almost like you're ready to run at any moment. Like you're alert. You're just on it. I had to figure out a thing that I could say to myself to bring myself down, because I am such a mantra person. I'm such an affirmations person. And yet, even talking about this, I can feel the trembles in all of my body right now. I would have to say to myself when I would come home from these events, these deployments, I would have to say, nobody's dying. That's how I could go grocery shopping. That's how I could get in my car and go to simple things. That's how I could enjoy a day at the beach. That's how I could just be with Cameron. He was only 5. And just be there, because my system is still go, go, go. I so wish that you could feel, since just saying that, like how much my whole body was like, bitch, we're ready. Let's go. Let's do, like, we're ready to run. We're ready to react. So I've learned to say that in the last, I first went to Iraq 2009, then I went to Afghanistan late 2010 into 2011, 12. So it's been that long. It's been 13 years. And yet my body remembers what it's like to live in that environment for a year at a time. And I have to still have this mantra of, even when I'm doing things today, sometimes I still get in that, like, let's go, let's get this done. Like, let's get to the point. You got to fucking go. I'm so goal-oriented to just get to the safe place, whether that's my house, the store, your house, when I'm driving. Like, I feel those things still come up, and I have to remind myself, dude, this is nothing. Nobody's dying. When nobody's in danger of dying. And I had to come up with my own thing for that, to the comparison, right? Like, I need to take a day off. Nobody's going to die if I take a day off. Like, that's how extreme it had to become for me. And I know that most people probably don't think in that way, but just so you guys know, like, my brain has to go there because of my environments. Because in order to relax, I have to know that me staying in bed or on the couch or doing nothing all day, nobody's going to die from that. I have nothing to worry about. Like, what's the anxiety? What's the worst that's going to happen? Because the worst that's going to happen in your life, most likely, is that somebody is going to die. That's going to be the most painful, gut-wrenching experience, is if one of your loved ones, like, pass away. So you sitting on your couch and doing nothing, and you playing a game, or you vegging out, or you Netflixing and doing nothing, Nobody's going to die. And I can say that now and take great comfort in that, because I'm like, oh yeah, Jamie, back to reality. You're not in that place anymore. The comparison. Nobody gets to steal your joy of being relaxed and doing nothing and sitting in your garden and just literally staring at the birds and whatever bugs fly by and like taking pictures of weird shit. The other day, I spent 5 minutes on the ground because I saw a bee go into the ground in a hole. And 70% of our bees in the US, they live in the ground. Most people don't know that, 70%. So when I'm able to capture one's little tiny hole in the ground, and I'm like, oh my God, this is how they all survive. And we don't know that. So many people don't know that. I sat there for 5 minutes waiting for her to come back out. It's always a her, because the females are the ones that lay eggs and create the things. And I sat there for 5 minutes, and I thought, like, afterwards, I was like, I almost wanted to say to myself, well, that was a fucking waste of 5 minutes, but it wasn't a waste, because I caught her coming out of the ground. I was like, that's so special. I love that. You know what? To see the life that I've created in my yard and to be able to witness it every day when I go out there, that is what I live for. That is my peace. So that there's nothing that should be able to take that away of like, Jamie, you should have been posting 100 times to Instagram. You should have been doing that. Like, whatever the fuck. The expectations that I might set for myself. Bringing myself out of that. That's the thing. That was long-winded. Recently, I got told I was a long-winded person, and I just love that. That's an ode to my sister.
Well,
right there.
It reminded me, you telling the story, I know you were in a war zone, and that's like an experience that most of us will never know what that's like.
Less than 1% of Americans.
Yeah, we'll never know what that's like,
Yeah.
and hopefully we'll never know what that's like, but up to this point, we have not known.
Yeah.
But I was reminded of being a really young mom, a really young and struggling young mother, with my husband gone and trying to take care of 3 kids by myself and do all the things that are supposed to be a 2-people job by myself, including supporting 3 children, because he was
Financially
somewhere
supporting.
where he could not contribute in any way.
He wasn't dead, just so you guys know.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't dead, but he was
absentee.
Yeah. He was incarcerated. I'll just go ahead and say
Yeah.
it. So, when you are our young mother and your husband goes to jail, prison, whatever, or goes off, maybe gets a new
Whole nother
girl,
family.
gets a whole nother family, and you're left. But anyway, as you were talking about that, I was just remembering, my 20s with young kids and by myself and all the things, and how the thing that I used to say to myself was it had to do with death. You
had to put it in the extreme terms.
I had to put it into an extreme. I had to frame it in an extreme way so that I could get from one day to the next, or 1 week to the next, or one crisis to the next, which was to tell myself that, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I literally, that was
our family motto.
That was what I lived by that. I really did, because there was times when it felt like there could be a death, although, maybe I wanted to be like, just fuck it, just take me out, because this is too hard.
Yeah.
But of course I couldn't, because I had children and I loved them and I wanted to take care of them. So that was not an option. So out was not an option. So you got to stick it out, and you got to find the thing to tell yourself to get through the really challenging moments or weeks, days, weeks, months, whatever it is of your life.
Yeah.
And that was it. It just so happens that I also used something related to death.
I wonder how many of our listeners have thought the same thing or something similar of like, I'm not dying, or my kid is not dying. Like, we use death because that is such a final thing for us.
It's final.
It's such a final
There's
thing.
no
It's
coming back from that.
So everything else we can survive technically. Like, I hear these stories of the women who have been literally fucking captured and had babies in basements and locked rooms, and like, you see all the movies and documentaries. Like,
oh my gosh, 20 years. Yeah, the one girl.
Insane. And they literally survived that, and they are here today, and they tell us their story, and like they're now making another life for themselves. So death is the only thing that we cannot get past or like survive. We can't survive death. Well, I don't know. Then there's near-death experiences, but for the most part, I think that when you're pushed so far to your breaking point of, I'm not well, my life is not well, things are shit, everything's horrible, where do you find the strength? What do you say to yourself in those moments to pull yourself out of that really low, dark, deep, just absolutely crushing moment? And I guess Kat and I are both at that death point where it's like, I would say, nobody's dying right now, I can relax. And she would say, nobody's dying. Like, it's not, the kids are not dying, everything's okay.
The other thing I would say, the other thing I would think to myself is like, what are you going to do? Lay down and die? That's not a fucking option.
I think my mom said this to me many times when I was upset, like, over whatever. And her way to deal with things, which I love you so much. We're gonna hold hands while we say this. I love you so much.
I'm sure. I feel sorry for my children because they were raised by a Scorpio mother.
Listen,
poor things.
Her words of wisdom were sharp and to the point, and as if you were not born of her blood. It was just like, what are you going to do now? You can just lay down and die, or you're going to go deal with it? And be like, shit, I guess we're going to go deal with it. Oh my God. So, she put that tone in us where me and my sister, and I don't know my brother that well since adulthood. Like, I knew him in teenagers, but I don't know him a lot now. But me and my sister, let me tell you guys something. I'm not going to say fantasize because that sounds like it's an expected, like, awesome pleasure thing, but we often think if somebody tried to abduct us, get us, hurt us, anything, we are psychotic at this point. By the way we've been coached by this woman right here, what are you going to do? Lay down and die? Oh, we are going to go, somebody's gonna get hurt. Like, we're talons out, just ready to go with some stuff. Fierce. And yeah, we're so peaceful and loving at the same time.
You know what? I put fierceness in you guys.
Fierce, you did.
I did. Yeah, I made my children fierce with that because there was a struggle, and I struggled, and you know what? I knew they would struggle in their lives.
No help. And nobody came to the rescue.
There was no rest. There was no grandparents to come and be like, "Oh, I'll help you."
Oh my gosh! You know what this reminds me of? No. That movie that Millie Bobby Brown did called Damsel. I know there was a lot of screaming in it.
Oh, there was a lot of screaming in that.
I know you didn't like that part of it.
I didn't like that part of it, but I love the movie.
When I first saw that movie, you're like, oh yeah, it seems like a fairy tale whole thing, but that entire movie, I was like, and that is women today. That is what we are becoming. That is our growth. That is our evolution. That is what we are taking over. Is like, damsel. Yeah, a big fuck you to that. All right, we're not a damsel in distress anymore. We're gonna damsel take shit into our own hands kind of thing. So that, I think that's more what I was raised with, like Kat said, is that fierceness. And I'm not sorry.
It helped to make them resilient. Is what it did. The challenges that we faced. Once they got through them, and then they could look back on it, they could be like, damn, I'm strong. I got through that. I think before we move on from this in-between place, because we talked a lot about this, I do want to mention there are times in our lives where things are going on that are outside of us. Like, you're wondering, like, why is everything fucked up? Like when I hit 30. 30 is a good... 30 is a good... Around the age of 30. Yeah. If you haven't been there yet, or if you've already been there and you can look back on that period of...
at your 60s too, because it's a 30-year cycle.
Yeah. You have a Saturn, what's called a Saturn return. If you've ever know anything about astrology, Saturn return is when the planet Saturn, which has a 27 and a half, something 28 and a half year cycle, something like that, it comes back to the same place in your chart as it was when you were born.
Mm-hmm. And it disrupts shit.
And it very much, there's a shift. Almost everyone that I know, when they hit around 30, something big happened that shifted, that made a shift in their life. For me, it was a wake-up call. I looked around at my situation. I'd been with their dad for 10 years, and things hadn't quite gone the way that I thought they would. That I'd hoped they would. I'd always thought, if I just fucking wait till if I can just hang tight till he's 35, I'm sure he'll grow out of this phase of, I just want to party and, have a good time. But, both of his daughters were born when he was in jail. So I was by myself. And so the second one was a year 13 months old, a year and a half old, something like that, when I had this epiphany that I looked at my kids and I was like, wow, they deserve better than this. That was my thought. They deserve better than what's been going on for the last 10 years. And it was a shift that I made right then. It was a decision that I made right then, and it was right before. It was, I was 87. I guess it was a year before. I was 29. It was just when it was like a light switch. It just switched on, and I decided I had to do something. So I was looking for that something, and that something came by way of some people standing in front of the Vons supermarket in Desert Hot Springs, California, with their little clipboards saying, would you be interested in going to school and learning how to be something in an office, right? And I was like, they're like, we'll pay for it, you can get it paid for and all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'm interested in that. I signed up for that shit, and like 3 weeks later, I was in school relearning how to type and do data entry and stuff like that, so that I could get the certificate, so that I could go out and get a job besides maid. What had I done up to that point? Cashier, maid, waitress, menial jobs, no skill jobs. So that was my shift. That happened. It was this epiphany that I had that was like, these kids deserve better.
We should do an entire episode just about Saturn's return, because I know that for mine, it was, I left Cameron's dad, I left South Carolina, I moved to Florida. I had never even been in the state before. I literally gave all of my belongings away and drove here and knew nothing. First time ever, I was just like, I'm fucking moving to Florida, that's it. Number one, I wanted to be around the water again, so I got a sign from the universe, because I was asking, like, where should I move to? Yeah, I just come back from contract from Iraq, and I had all this money saved in my bank account, and I was like, I'm leaving. I'm done. Like, there's nothing for me here. Everybody in South Carolina was pill heads, and I was just like, couldn't do it. I couldn't raise my kid around that. And at that time, he was 4, going on 5. And I came and visited you, crazy enough, in Kansas City. And when I tried to get a flight out, they canceled it, and I had to go back like the next day. And then they didn't have a seat for me, and I had to buy a first class ticket and all this shit. And waiting in my seat, I was trying to choose between Jacksonville, which had a Navy base, and I was like, oh my gosh, I could work at the Navy base, like I could do all this stuff, lots of opportunity in Jacksonville. Or Tampa Bay, which is not Navy, it's Air Force, but I was like, joint operations, I could still work for the government, like it could still be cool, I could still work it out on Tampa Bay. And I didn't even know the difference between the oceans on each side. Let me tell you guys, Gulf side is way better. If you're gonna visit, please go to the Gulf side. The Atlantic side is brown. You can see that shit all up and down the coast of the US, but the Gulf is warm and beautiful and lovely.
So pretty.
So what I had waiting for me in my whole debacle of trying to get back to South Carolina was a Tampa Bay newspaper waiting in my seat that I got by chance, that I had to pay for and come back 2 days in a row. And that was my sign. I was like, I'm moving to Tampa Bay. That's it. I knew it, because there was a Tampa Bay newspaper in my fucking airplane seat. And never having been in the state of Florida in my life, didn't know anything about it, I just packed up and came, and was like, I lived in a hotel for 30 days. It was an extended stay America, and I was like, I'll fucking figure it out. Like, I don't know. But that was when I was 29 years old. I left everything.
When I was 29, I left California. It was the end of April 1988, so I would turn 30 in November. And I had met somebody, and he was from Kansas City. And you know what? I was looking for a big change, in my life. I mean, I needed to get away from Desert Hot Springs and all the people and all the bad influences, and the ex-husband that was soon going to be getting out of jail and would be back. And I already knew that if I saw him again, there was no way I was staying away from him. I was in love with the man. Yeah, just like we were like drawn to each other. So I knew that I had to put distance between us for me to really because I had finished school. I was working for an attorney. So I had a real job, going to an office every day and stuff. But I already knew that when he got out, there was going to be, this whole thing that happened, and it wasn't going to be beneficial to
You're going to fall back in the same routine.
I was going to fall back into it.
Yeah.
And
you do.
Because I wasn't strong enough at that point. I still had too many feelings for him. That, you know, not
3 young children.
Yeah.
Like,
so I left California. Never ever had I considered leaving California, but I got the opportunity and I was like, yep, I'm going to go and I'm going to take the kids and we're going to make a new life.
And I just want to say, my little input as my little 8-year-old self that moved from California to Kansas City with like cold weather. Okay, I was not prepared and I was pissed. And I was like, we're going back as soon as we can. Like, this is bullshit. I was only 8, but I was very opinionated on the fact that we did not belong in Kansas City, that we belonged back in California with the ocean and the water and all the things. And, you know, yeah, maybe desert hot springs, but we lived near the water many times. Like, the ocean was my life. Like, I felt like my whole life was there.
We had rivers nearby us. Yeah. You know, we had water nearby us.
We had so much nature there. Yeah. And I felt like Kansas City was not nature. It was harsh. Because I guess that's when I experienced the real change of the seasons. Like, I didn't know snow. I remember the first time I tried to experiment with snow, you guys, I didn't have a coat on. I barely had some shoes on. I was in a little dress, and we had stopped in Oklahoma somewhere. And there was big snow drifts that were pushed up against the wall, right? And I thought it was cool. I was like, look at this. This is crazy.
Awesome.
What is this? It's cold. It's wet. Like, that's so weird. 8-year-old me, and I'm very adventurous and experimental, so I walked up the top of the wall where the snowdrift was pushed against, and I stepped off the wall onto the snow. I didn't know snow was slushy and sinky, and it was very cold and wet.
And you sink in it?
I sunk right into it and was petrified. I was like, I didn't even know what to do. I didn't even know how to break out of it. And then it was my brother, of course, punching the snow and like pulling me out of it, and I'm soaking wet in this dress, and I was just like, what was that? Like, I've never experienced. I've been in like whitewater rafting type situations where the water's cold and it's coming down from the mountains and all of that. But this shit, I was like, this is not my life. I was like, absolutely not. Don't want to do this again. But I remember moving to Kansas City and not even having like the correct clothes and the whole thing. I was like, we're not staying. Everybody who would ask me like, oh, where are you from? We're from California and we're not staying here. This is not, like, I said that.
And I didn't want to stay there. The first, we got there right after the 1st of May. Jolene had her 2nd birthday like a week later. And then, and by the end of that month, I couldn't leave the house because it was so humid. I thought I was going to die because I lived in the desert where it's 117 degrees in the summer. And that was, you know, I could handle that. I acclimated to that, but acclimating to humidity was awful. But anyway, we're all a little off.
It's not, because really what all of these little stories that Kat and I have been saying, you have to think about this as like, and I think in a lot of these stories you can hear, we felt lost. We felt off our path. We felt like not in the right place. We felt like shit was not going our way. We didn't plan this. That's not, you know, and we made calculated decisions to change ourselves, right?
Yeah.
But there's so many times that right before we make that calculated decision to change our life, that we feel really lost. And this is about not being lost. You're literally recalibrating.
Well, and even after you make the decision and you make the move, I know as soon as I made the move and as soon as I got back to Kansas City, within a month, I was questioning that decision and regretting my move and wanting to go back. You know, so
I regretted your move.
So the point is that you're not lost. You're where you're supposed to be at that time, and you're struggling to learn something, to grow from it. And that's what I think is, and that's what I think that maybe we miss out of, we want to avoid the heartache. We want to avoid difficult, you know, situations in our life. But those difficult situations and those heartaches are opportunities for us to learn about ourselves, about other people. There are opportunities for us to grow. So that, you know, I mean, there's just, they're opportunities is what they are. I'm
going to bring up a movie really quick. I'm such a movie person. There's a movie called Click. It's Adam Sandler. And, damn it.
Some chick.
No. Kate Beckinsale, not some chick. She's a goddess vampire woman that like that's all I see her as. But Kate Beckinsale. Anyways, it's a movie called Click, and he gets this special remote control. I don't know if you've ever seen it, and he can fast forward through life's hard moments, right? So he's like, when him and his wife are arguing, he's like, fast forward, and it's
interesting.
It's an interesting movie, but what it really teaches you is that when you don't stick through the hard stuff, you miss out on so much of life. Like you don't get to see any, because he's just like. I guess what the remote does, I haven't seen it in a long time, but the remote remembers your preferences. So if an argument starts, it just fast forwards it automatically for you. And so he would be getting into something with his wife, and then all of a sudden it's like, he wanted to be there with the situation, and then the controller was like, I remember your preference. Boom, start fast forwarding. And he's like, no, wait, I want to talk to her. Like, we think about being in our hard times and wanting to really fast forward them and get out of them, but truly the word is liminal. You're in an in-between. You're not where you want to be, and like you're out of something that maybe you didn't want to be in, but you're not exactly where you want to be, and so then you're waiting for the other thing. You're in this in-between, that liminal space in between what's comfortable and what's familiar. You know, like, so you've got, or what's desired. Really, it's like what's comfortable and familiar. And not even, how about what's familiar? Because when we're in bad situations, that's familiar. Then we got to go into the liminal space. And then we get to go into the space where we actually create it for ourselves, because we're like, fuck this shit. I'm changing something. I'm doing something. I'm moving. That liminal space is what we're talking about, where we feel lost. Because you don't know if the decisions that you made are right for you yet. You don't understand how everything's going to work out. And you're just really stuck in this in between. This is where witchcraft is so good at providing tools. You know, like I gotta say, everything that we really see in witchcraft is tools, because that's what's present. You can't see people's thoughts and processes and how they've changed and all the things that they've done and their mantras, but you can see all the tools they've used to do that. So tools, the next section that I really put into this podcast is about tools for self-trust. And I gotta go with tarot cards are my number one. I still love tarot cards.
I've been using tarot. I know. Well, tarot cards were my first tool. I didn't even know. I mean,
still my favorite.
I never thought of them as. I never thought witch when I thought of tools. I just.
That's so funny.
You know what? I thought guidance.
Guidance.
They were like they were guidance for me. They gave me messages. They gave me sometimes confidence, answers, or sometimes they gave me non-answers. And I'm like, wait a minute, you mean I got to decide on my own? Wait, hold on, you're not going to give me the answers, universe?
Right? Yeah.
You mean you're going to still make me make the choice? How about you make the choice? Just tell me what to do.
Tell me what to do.
Tell me what to do.
So many people want card readings where it's like, tell me what to do cards, and the cards are like, not while you're here, babe. Not while you're here. Yeah. So tarot cards are a great way to build self-trust, because you can have an idea and then you can ask the cards like for confirmation. And yeah, sometimes you might get it where they're going like, no, gibberish. No, we're not doing it. And those are times when you truly have to trust your intuition, your soul. Like, what do you really believe? And it could be the hardest thing. It could be against what everybody else is thinking. I could name 100 movies that literally go into this concept, that dive into the human experience of having to choose for ourselves based on nothing but what we truly want, and then worrying about what everybody else around us will think. That we can feel very lost if nobody supports our decision. We can feel like we're doing the wrong thing if nobody in our life supports our decision. And yet, it could be the perfect thing for us. And it's what you need to lose in order to open the doors, open the windows, open the fucking opportunities. So,
and sometimes you get the message and you don't want the message. And so you keep on doing the thing that's making you unhappy. And you ignore the message because you're not quite there yet. And I relate this to a time in my last relationship, which lasted 15 years, which was 15 years, or which was 14 years and 11 months too long. I should have known. Actually, it was 6 months in. 6 months in, I was getting signs, and I should have bolted, but I didn't, because I'm fixed sign, and I like to when I make a decision, I stick with it, and I'm like, I'm gonna like stick this out because I'm tough and I can handle it and all this shit, and it's gonna be fine, right? In my head. But I was getting messages, you know, I was pulling cards every day because I was going through a really horrible time with him. And so I was crying a lot. Things were really fucked up. And I was like, every day I was reading my cards, and I was getting message, and I was even getting advice from family members who were like, yeah, maybe you should think about ending this. And I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to end it. I wasn't ready to end my suffering. I still wanted to keep going and trying to force things that weren't meant for me. So sometimes we get messages from the universe and we just ignore them, and then we get to prolong the experience.
The experience. I love that you didn't say the suffering. You said the experience. Because you're right. There are many times that we are shown how much free will we truly do have to just decide on our own. I think that there's a lot of barking about, I didn't ask for this isn't what I chose. And yet when you look back at the choices, you can see where people did choose their things, and they didn't leave, and they didn't move on, and they're like, no, this happened to me, I didn't choose this. We got to be really honest with ourselves as we reflect. And that would, the next thing is to do some journaling prompts around that. Truly reflect. Really allow yourself to dig deep. The journaling prompts within witchcraft are often called shadow work, and you can call it that or you cannot. You can literally just find journal prompts to say, I need my mind stirring about a topic. I really want to get to the bottom of this. But you've got to allow yourself to be very open and very honest and very truthful with yourself. Nobody's reading it. Nobody's watching you. Nobody is comparing. Nobody's saying, I told you so. When we're able to write like that, when we're able to answer questions thinking that nobody will ever read them or know the answer, we can be very honest with ourselves, brutally honest. And you need that. You need that a lot of times when you are trying to build self-trust, because you got to get real with the decisions that you actually made, and the signs that you ignored, and the people's advice that you said, no, I don't trust that.
Well, I feel like it's about taking responsibility, and I think a lot of times, think that a lot of times, I know in my own life, I have blamed my circumstances on outside forces.
Yep.
Where I was really making a choice to take. When I got to the fork in the road, I was like, okay, look at this. I could go that way. I could go to college right now because I have, I've already got a grant to go to college for cosmetology school, right out of high school. But then I got the books and I was like, fuck, I got to study. Oh shit. I thought I was just going to learn to cut hair. I literally never went to school. Yeah. So I made the choice right then, at that point, at that juncture. I sat in the parking lot of the community college with the workbook, ready to go in, opened it up, looked at it, and it was like hair follicles. I'm like, I got to learn about hair follicles. I just wanted to learn to cut hair. I don't want to do this. This is too much work. So what I did is I took the easy path, what I thought was the easy path. And for 10 years, I did bullshit, more than 10 years, 12 years, bullshit jobs, maid, cashier, fast food, all this bullshit stuff, right? When if I had just, not been, I don't know, whatever I was, but I made the choice. And so that was on me, right? Those 10 or 12 years that I spent struggling and trying to find my way, I just didn't,
feeling like you were a victim of circumstances rather than a victim of your choices.
Why can't I get a better job than a cashier at Wendy's or a maid at a spa?
Yeah.
I lived in the desert, and there were near Palm Springs, and there were really nice, fancy hotels where Hollywood stars came to stay there.
Yeah.
And so I was like, ooh, look at me working at whatever it was. I mean, one time Richard Chamberlain, and I know you guys don't know who he is, but maybe your moms or grandmas do, because it was the Thornbirds. He was the guy from the Thornbirds. He was a really sexy priest or something. But anyway, he came and stayed there with his boyfriend, and nobody knew that he was gay at that time. This was like 1983
My mom had
or
the
something.
goods. Oh man.
But anyway, it's about really taking responsibility for your choices, and recognizing that the choice that you made, the choice that I made back when I was like, I'm not going to go to this class, even though it's all paid for, and in 9 months I could have had a cosmetology license and been cutting hair and had a career out of that at that young of an age. I made a different choice. So it was 12 years before I got myself back to college.
And that right there proves how we do the comparison thing on what's going to take away our joy, what's not going to. It's like, oh, I got to be this working person for this. No, I just want to get out and get a job. Like, that's what I should be doing. I should just be getting a job. Unfortunately, my son is going through that right now. And as you guys know, he has epilepsy. And like every job that he's had seizures at. And it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. And that makes him have more seizures. The social thing, that if he's in anything that's like with heat. And for him, it's crazy because what I think that I should be hearing from him sometimes is like, I really want to get a handle on my epilepsy. I want to figure out how to stop my seizures. And do you know what he says instead? I need to be getting a fucking job, Mom. I need to have a job. I need to be earning money. And I was like, ooh, the comparison, because right now he doesn't even take into consideration his special circumstances, that he is a disabled person who literally can't work a normal job, and normal things don't apply to him because of his seizures that come out of nowhere for no reason sometimes. And yet he still feels the social pressure to be like his other 20-year-old friends who all have jobs. They've moved out into their own places. They're driving cars. And it's like, even for somebody in a medically different, right? So we have circumstantial where we're just like, I don't want to work that hard. But even with medically different, we hold ourselves to these standards of comparison, and it takes the joy away from our life because we're not able to see that Cameron's life is comfortable, okay? Kat and I keep him very comfortable because he is in a very, special, difficult.
I've been watching the last few weeks, since his last seizure, just a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And I feel so sad for him because it's like he can't really have a normal life or do
not do
in comparison to anything. Normal. He can't do the things that most kids his age, he's about to be 20, he can't do those things. He like right now we're waiting and trying to get his epilepsy under control, because until that happens, everything fucking revolves around when's the next goddamn seizure,
Yeah, when's the next hospital stay? When's the
next thing? And also, like, so, he lives with me, and I'll hear a noise, and I'm like, fuck, what's that noise, right?
All the time.
So
we can't even have normal lives.
Yeah,
being around somebody who has a medical condition that
it's really
can kill him. Yeah, no, it's different. But I guess, what I was trying to say is like, and I'm so sympathetic to your situation, and I appreciate you so much for being able to take him in for insurance purposes, because he couldn't live with me and get assistance. He has to live outside of the family home to get assistance, so it's super fucked.
Yeah,
and I'm here as much as I possibly can.
But I just feel, he can't. He doesn't have a life, really.
He can't have a life. Friends. So going into Cameron's story, yes. So my son, even though his is like medical, right? This is on paper. He takes medication for it. He still has the burden of comparison steals his joy, because he still wants to live. He still thinks that we expect him to live at this level of what normal. I'm using air quotes because honestly, like, what is normal anymore? What is normal anymore? Sorry, yeah,
there is. But
there is this weird expectation, and I know he feels it too. Like, you're 18, you move out, you get a job, you like live on your own, you take care of yourself, all the things.
Well,
and that's not even.
You go start your adulthood.
Yeah, and it's not possible for him.
Yeah, it's not possible,
and we don't want him to do that, and nobody's pressuring him to do that. He literally gets none of that from anybody, and yet. It's unfortunate that this is where we find that comparison steals joy, even when we're not pursuing the comparison. Even when you're not like comparing yourself on purpose to other people. It's like we have all these pressures around us that do that. And that's why if I could, one of Cameron's triggers is that when he starts really thinking a lot. So I don't know if you guys know, just a quick education. I don't mean to be long-winded about this, but seizures are caused from overactivity in the brain of it's electrical activity. It's an overload of electrical activity in the brain. Doesn't matter where it's at. It's just somewhere. And that's usually what happens. Now, sometimes it's because of a growth or a tumor or, there's a cluster or there's something. Sometimes it's a physical thing in the brain and they can cut it out. They can fix it. And we're hoping that that's it. Other times it's chemical. It's biological. There's signals. The brain is just actually not formed well. There's other things that can cause it. And those are not easily fixable. So I was going somewhere with this shit. Damn it, because I'm educating on epilepsy. The point is that when you have something that you're not in charge of, you didn't do yourself, you didn't choose. Because when we talk about journaling prompts, it's like, what did I do? What can I take responsibility for, right? There are witches out here. God, I'm a neurodivergent witch, by the way. Like, I need to claim that title for myself because damn, I realize it more and more every day. There are people who are not living what is, air quotes, normal of any kind. And you have to still see the world where everything being put out there is felt like, well, this is what normal is. And then we have comparison to that. Not on purpose, just because that is what is on TV. It's like being gay. I don't know, being whatever you want to call it. I hope gay is okay to say. I don't even know, if there's a term that people are or not offended by. But fuck, when we were in the military in 1999, when I joined, okay, so before that, literally you could get kicked out of the military for being gay. But when I joined, we had just started to pass laws that was don't ask, don't tell. Oh my God. So many people were gay and it was so great. And it was like, oh my God, there's no judgment against anybody. It was like, you had to work really hard. Some people lied to try to say they were gay to get out of the military. It was a whole thing. And it's little things like that where you're trying to live your normal fucking life. Normal life for you, normal for me, normal for you, normal for him. Yeah. What's normal for us? I don't think that normal exists within a society. I think normal exists within a person. What is my norm? That should be your comparison. So when we talk about our journal prompts, that is what we're talking about. The normal that you're comparing things to is yourself. Where's your growth? What have you done? What are your habits? What do you like? What do you ultimately actually want? And what are you doing to suffice other people, to suffice society, to do whatever? But it's getting outside of the box.
Yeah.
I know I've gotten way off track.
We have gotten off track just a little bit. Yeah, sorry, that was side thing. But, that's how it goes with us. And if you guys have been here, this is episode 62. So if you've been here before, you know this about us. 62?
Oh my God.
Yep. So the next thing we're going to talk about, though, is about when we talk about these tools that can build self-trust, is the signs that come from spirit or the universe or your guides. And these are things repeating numbers, which have always been a thing for me. When I see numbers, I'm like, why am I seeing that number so many times, right?
Well, when you see things repeating in general, maybe you always see a black cat, maybe you always see a crow,
any kind of repeating patterns. You're like, hey.
Any patterns.
Patterns. Yeah. Maybe, I swear to God, when I hear the crows, or talking to me in the morning, I've got bird seed out and I'm try to build up my backyard to invite more birds and other critters to come to it. And in the morning, this morning, there was this big crow out there just
cawing away,
right? Yeah. And I'm just like, all right, buddy, what's going on? Or I'm walking and there's one and it seems like it's following me. It's like, okay, I'm paying attention. What is it? So messengers, dreams, dreams that come to us.
It's any of the little.
It's the things that we would call coincidences or synchronicities.
I love synchronicities. I got so many theories on synchronicities from my life with the things that I've liked, the things that have led me to places that have helped me be who I am, that have literally helped me through really bad situations. And I gotta say, number one is music. If anybody out there is the music speaks to you because it gets you through the tough shit, that for me, music, I sort of feel like maybe in past lives, I don't know, many lives ago, I do feel like I was very connected to music because music can shift me. Cameron, holy Manol, oh my, that boy, he is more musically educated than me. He's listened to every genre from 50s to today, like he became a huge David Bowie fan when he was about like 13, 14. I don't know. Like the boy loves music on all planes, and it's so interesting to find that because he feels things from it. And for me, I think music is such an indicator of how you're feeling, where you're going, like what's the rhythm, what's the...
You can definitely... I can find my mood in music.
For sure, yeah.
I can definitely find my mood, or I can find music that matches my mood.
Yeah.
Whether it's happy, sad, whatever my mood is, I can definitely find music that's like, yes, this is it right here. This is.
When I think about breadcrumbs with music, what I have found is that with music that I ultimately really relate with, when I start to learn about the artist, I start to see synchronicities. I start to see similar life things. I start to see similar experiences. I see things that they've been through that I've been through. It's like when that happens for me, I'm like, I even get deeper into it. I was like, damn, okay, like I can really feel that. Like even with certain songs, it is one of the reasons why I hope this isn't too controversial, but I've never been a big fan of rap music. Now, club music, sure, put a beat with it, like give me something where you can like dance and sort of feel like you're at a rave and you've been drinking and it's all lights and spinning and it's all great, fine. But just like to sit around and listen to rap music, which was something that so I'm a 90s kid. Rap was pretty big in the 90s and continued on, and so any men or young boys that I wanted to date, this was their go-to in the car, rap music. And I was like, wow. So do you listen to the words? Like, do you know what they're saying? Do you understand? Like, what is the vibe of this? I was like, do you like that? Like, is this a thing for me? I was like, this doesn't make sense at all. Like, this has literally nothing to do with anything. This is bullshit. This is all whatever. That is how I equate the little signs from universe going, girl, that ain't for you. Like, you don't, that aggravates your damn soul. Like, you should not be anywhere near any of these bros that want to listen to rap music and have their hats backwards and act like they are whatever. I needed like the sensitive art nerd who loved books or something.
I have an example of like when the universe is like, girl, this is your spot, right?
Girl,
I think of like every morning when I take my dog for a walk and I go down to the park and I watch the sun coming up and I look at the clouds. This morning I was seeing like all the gray sky. We've got like gray skies and some gray and blue because there's clouds and stuff, right? Like rain clouds. But as the sun was coming up, the little edges of the clouds were turning pink, and the whole like wonder of it all, right? Yeah. It's just like it's so magical.
Beauty, yeah.
And like that's a sign from the universe that I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like every morning, I need to be doing that. Not only does my dog need a walk, but I need it for my soul.
Yeah,
you know, I need it for my like mental health, right? To just it feeds me, that walking, that the fresh air in the morning, the wet grass down at the park, you know, whatever we see there. So but you use the term in here, divine breadcrumbs.
I did. Breadcrumbs.
Can you tell us tell us how
Which breadcrumb do I choose for my own life?
Well, you say, you know, create your own divine breadcrumb language with the universe.
It is. It's sort of like the invisible string theory, or, you know, it's how these little things tie to you. I can give you examples. Would that be helpful?
Sure. Yeah, okay. I think it would be helpful for our listeners too.
Okay, so
unless you guys know what she's talking about.
The divine breadcrumbs are like... All right. I'm trying to think of a good example that's not too personal. Because a lot of it is your divine breadcrumbs should be personal. They should really speak to you and only you. And like when you tell people about it, they're like, oh, well, that's cool. But like, really? But you feel it hardcore. So number one, that's the thing. Like you feel it. You're like, what? Like, that's crazy. I didn't know, like when Daddy died, I didn't know that all people thought that cardinals were like their loved ones. I didn't know that. Birds had never been a symbol for me before that for passed over loved ones, because Daddy was my first passed over loved one. So to learn that everybody is like cardinals are their thing, I was like, okay, so that didn't feel like a divine breadcrumb for me, right? Because that wasn't specific enough. So a divine breadcrumb for us, for people, is something that's so specific to you that nobody else can say, oh yeah, I had that happen too. Or yeah, no, that's my symbol too. Oh, you do that too. Oh, I like that too. Nobody else kind of gets it. That divine breadcrumb is so personal. You're going, what? what? That happened? So I can remember when my dad died, I was actually in Iraq, or I was in Afghanistan, and I was due to be home in a week. He passed a week before I actually got home while he was sick, and I was supposed to be there, like, to help, maybe. I don't even know. He was passing away. Everybody knew that. My mom was like, Jamie, it's worse than you think, you know. But I had this, like...
He was dying from cancer.
He was dying from cancer,
So it was very clear. You could just... You watched...
Yeah.
I watched the deterioration of him over a summer.
Yeah.
Over a summer.
Yep.
Yeah. And this was...
It wasn't even... This was July to September.
I thought it was June.
Nope, July.
Okay.
He had a stroke in July. So anyways... So there would be some of these, there would be breadcrumbs after he passed, but I didn't know, my sister first told me about cardinals, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then I started seeing cardinals everywhere. I was like, oh my God, well now that's our symbol for our dad, because my sister invited that symbolism into me. So that's the breadcrumb for getting little signs for my dad at first was just cardinals. But then other things came through, right? So... my dad had given me these books, which are like way before any male's times, but one specifically was a really old book called The Women Who Ran the World, and it was a witchcraft book, and it was so old it was out of print, and I think that he got it in jail, and like it was his, and he was able to mail it to me when he moved from one facility to another. So I have this like really old book with all his notes in it, and this image on there it's an old painting, and that shit started to pop up in places, and I was like, I've been in the art world. My dad and I, that was one of our connections. We both did art. And so that painting and things that were associated with that book would start to come up. And I was like, what? That's not even, like the book's not even in print anymore. That's crazy. And so I would have these are the divine breadcrumbs that you can't deny. And I think that that's what I think of as a divine breadcrumb. It's something that you literally can't deny. The other, like one that I have with my cat, I know that's really random, but animals are like, this sounds bad, but I love animals more than people most of the time. I'm really sorry about that. People, like, I don't know. I love animals so much. Like, all animals, my whole life. Animals. Like, that's what I want. So, I had a cat. Had him for 10 years. He was super close to me. He was the only cat that was, like, in my wedding because he didn't care. He was just like, I'm going to go sit on your wedding dress while all of this is going on. He was amazing. His name was Mickey because when he was born, he had a little white face and it all black around it. So he looked like Mickey Mouse. And what was even more crazy is I never planned on keeping them. So when I named my cats, my 3 cats, I named them so I could tell them apart, but never planned on keeping their names. Like, that's why Princess is Princess. I would never name a cat Princess, but I never got rid of her. And I never got rid of Mickey, and I never got rid of Magic. So I kept the cats, so Mickey lived with me for 10 years, and I lost him in 2023. And Mickey's whole personality where I live right now is that he was in the garden with me every fucking day. Every day I was in the garden. He knew I was in the garden. He'd be out there. He'd sit with me. He'd walk around, and he would meow at me. And so my divine breadcrumbs from Mickey, which I do believe that animals can still communicate with you, is I will be sitting there peacefully in my garden in the morning enjoying my coffee. Nothing's around. And I will hear his meow still. I will be working in places and I will hear his meow. And it's not just like 1 or 2. It's like he meows. And at first it was like, it would just make me cry. It was really hard to work in the yard. But now I call to him. Now I say his name back. Because I truly believe he's there. Like, that's a divine breadcrumb for me. Because losing him that was the first animal I lost in my adult life. Like, every other animal, I didn't have to see their end-of-life process because I moved. The military took them. Like, even Hershey, Nala,
Shy.
Fucking Jazz, Shy was before the Navy.
Yeah.
So I lost an animal at 17, and then I didn't lose one again until I was So Mickey died 2 years ago. Fuck, that's a long time. So I hadn't experienced animal loss, and yeah, losing him, who I was so close with, and he still meows in my yard, which is insane. And one day I really hope to get it on fucking video, I swear, because I will be doing something and then it's just like, there's these meows, and I'm looking, like maybe there's a cat that needs help. There's a kitten who wandered into my yard. I always think about saving another cat, but no, it's just him. Like, energy's not gone. That's a divine breadcrumb.
There you go. So that's a divine.
Yeah.
And you may, I'm guessing probably most people, maybe, I hope anyways, you've experienced that. And if you haven't, then you can develop, then you can develop that skill of listening to, you know, the universe and the messages that are coming to you from sounds, from animals,
it's from the ether, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's beyond the physical, and it could be your humans, it could be your animals, it could be your spirit guides, you know, like I have spirit guides ones, but it would take 30 minutes to tell you the stories of how they've connected with me, because it's so intricate. But when we've lost something, I feel like that, because you knew them, you knew their voice, you knew their sounds, you knew their habits, that's so much easier to interpret. Like with my dad, I mean, just the little weird things, you know, phone calls, numbers, signs, thinking about him, and then getting this amazing sunset with my sister. Like anytime Jolene and I are together, there's always a possibility that Dad's gonna like jump in, right? Like it's just always, and we're always ready for it. But those are our divine breadcrumbs. But there can be so I talked about death a lot, but really it could be like jobs and relationships and invisible strings, like me and Tony. All right, the way me and my husband met, super crazy. Jolene was friends with him for 9 years, and I moved to Florida, and I lived here for 1.5 years. And then when I came back after I did my after I was deployed to Afghanistan, then Daddy had died, and I asked her, like, Jolene and I weren't even close. I was like, do you know anybody in Florida? Maybe jobs, blah, blah, blah. Because I'd always just been, like, living off the money I made from being overseas. Well, then she introduced me to Tony, and I didn't even know him. But I swear to God, while we were texting, I was like, whoo, there is something there. And then just the whole evolution of that, him being in Kansas City, him being a fucking Chiefs fan, I was like, how are you so connected to Kansas City? Like, it was weird. The places that we knew, the things that we knew, those were those, again, divine breadcrumbs. When you meet somebody. Cameron's dad, same thing.
So these are things to, you know, recognizing these and, like, accepting that this is actually real and you're not tripping on something, is how you start to build trust, and you're trusting your intuition.
It's not coincidences, it's meant to be.
Yeah, trusting that what you're hearing, the cat meowing or the cardinal landing or the crow cawing or whatever.
Or the people that you meet who have like all the same history as you and you never cross paths, and you're like, how's that possible? Yeah, that.
So those things, as you have those experiences, recognize them and then accept that those are messages. That's, you know, you start to build trust in what you're seeing. These things that can't be explained, but you're like, it's real. So
and it's by other people. Like I want to really hit on that. When you tell other people about these things, they're going to brush it off because they can't feel it like you do. Don't let them.
You don't have to share it.
You don't have to share it.
If somebody's going to...
That's why I said journal it. Yeah.
But trust in it. Yeah. So next the last thing we're going to talk about is rituals for guidance in the chaos. So we have talked about a lot of chaos. We've shared a lot of our experiences.
So many personal experiences.
Are we an hour and a half into this? Oh my goodness, we need to wrap it up.
Yeah,
sorry, you guys. Sometimes it's like this.
Oh my gosh.
So we're going to talk about rituals for guidance during chaos. This is about grounding when things are uncertain. It's about feeling grounded when things are like really feeling not grounded.
Yeah, because it's coming back to like knowing and remembering that you have a purpose here, even though all the chaos makes you feel way out here, like above your head. Coming back to your center, almost like grounding and centering is such a beautiful way to remind yourself you have purpose here, you have things you want to do, all the distractions.
Okay, so I actually read, this is a ritual that we're going to share with you for this. So we're going to set the scene.
Set the scene. Light a candle.
This symbolizes the inner flame guiding through the darkness. That's one way to look at a candle. Mm-hmm. Place a bowl of water beside it. A mirror of intuition.
Yeah. So remember that in the old days, 8,000 years ago, we either had shiny brass, obsidian, or we had water for reflection.
So for reflection, people could saw
much easier to get water than the other two right now, just so you guys know. Yeah. So this is the mirror of intuition. This is going to be a reflection thing for you.
Something that you can say, an example. Say aloud, Spirit of the path unseen, guide my steps where they're meant to be. I trust the unknown as holy ground. That sounds like a prayer. That sounds very religious in there. I don't know why.
It's not. What? Why?
It sounds
Spirit? Yeah. Why? Because the word holy?
Yeah, because holy.
Oh, jeez.
I'm sorry. I was raised Catholic.
Ground. Okay.
I was raised Catholic. I can't help when I hear certain words. I'm like, oh,
I trust the unknown as sacred ground.
Sacred ground. There we go. I like that better because they don't use sacred usually in church, but holy is a big Catholic word.
Yeah, holy is meant to be the whole.
The whole,
the
not
circle, the whole.
Not it's.
Oh, I hit my microphone super hard.
WHOLLY, holy instead of holy.
Yeah, right. It's the spelled, whole.
It's holy, not HOLY, but WHOLLY.
The whole circumference. Yeah.
Okay.
The whole.
All right. You want to take the next two?
So after you've done this, you've gathered in, you've spoke your words, and it can be whatever you want. You know, you're really just inviting in a presence. You're inviting in receiving messages. The divination moment is to pull an oracle card or pull a tarot card, and it's for guidance, you know, so you can shuffle. A lot of times what Kat and Jolene and I do is we shuffle until we just feel ready, and then all of a sudden it's just like, boom, we just pull out a card. We just feel it. This is where you're trusting your intuition. You're just kind of letting things flow, and you're like, you could shuffle for 5 minutes, and then just whenever you're ready, you're like, I feel like there's always that breath where you're like, I'm ready. I hope you guys heard that. It was a big breath.
Yeah.
Pulling one tarot or oracle card to kind of just like give you that message. And when you're in that moment of, you're really reaching for how to ground yourself into the chaos. You want to journal any of the imagery and the feelings and the words that come through. Like, sometimes I've been more, I can't say clairvoyant, but I get a lot more images when talking to people, when reading their cards. I get like pictures and flashes of things. Write that shit down. Anything that you get when you pull that card. You know, I don't know why I'm feeling the word to say grandma. That's so weird because I don't have a grandma really, and I don't say grandma, and that's not a word for me. But I pictured a fucking card laying down and immediately thought grandma. That's so weird. So whoever that message is for, I don't know. But pulling that for guidance is to recognize what it immediately makes you think of. And that's where we're using that trust of ourselves. We're building that trust to go, I lay that card down, and all of a sudden, boom, I had a flashback to the living room when I was 5 years old. You know, like you just have these visions. I had a vision of I was reading cards for somebody one time. I had a vision of stairs with a metal railing and that old green carpet like what we had in our house in Edwardsville. And I told somebody about that, and they go, those are the stairs that, you know, somebody fell down and died. And I was like, what the fuck? Like that? Oh my God. Didn't know. Just saw the stairs. Just I said the imagery. And sometimes it makes sense now. Sometimes it makes sense later. Gotta say. But journal any of those images, the feelings, the things that come up for you, the questions, shit to dig into later. Absolutely. Remember it. And what's really easy is that after you just do that very simple thing, right? You're inviting things in, you're putting the space, you're drawing the card, you're writing down your stuff. That is it. It can be as simple as that. Give thanks to everything, whether it's the universe, your spirit guides, what your ancestors, whoever you want to give thanks to, and then just like blow out the candle and say, I trust the unfolding of what's going to happen, like trusting the unfolding, because we got thrust into this human experience knowing that we were not allowed to know what was going to happen to us. That's how we deal with just getting fucking through it, right? So say to the universe, to the guides, to your spirits, to the ancestors, whatever, that you're just going to trust the unfolding of things. And you can say, I'll keep looking for the signals. I'm going to keep trying to trust what you give me. I'm going to keep looking out for things. And just, you know, journal them as much as you can. The things that are repeated in your life, journal them and look them up, because that's the signs that you're missing. If you're not journaling them, if you're not writing about them, if you're not looking them up, those are the signs that you're missing. And I mean, the takeaway is really that the path doesn't require clarity, just courage, right? Like, just keep moving forward. You don't need to see the next thing. You just need to know that there is a next thing for you. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there is.
There is, always.
There always is.
Till we die. Because nobody's dying yet. Yeah. So you don't really have to like sprint towards enlightenment, okay? We want to give you this, I don't know, serenity statement of almost like surrender to this. You do not have to rush towards this place of enlightenment and knowing everything and having all the answers. You just don't have to. Sometimes the most magical thing that you can do is to just pause and breathe and trust that your path knows where it's going, and you may not know where it unfolds, but always staying true to your character and what you believe is good for you.
And bring your candles and bring your chaos.
Always, always.
Your truth and your transformation, and walk with us
the witch's way. We love you guys.
Until next time.
See you later. Bye.